got to be super pleased with how this turned out, man.
Yes. So I'll just lead with the answer is yes. And I was talking to some people last night, and I'm practicing just like everybody else, being nice to myself, because I'm super critical. There's a lot of things that I think we're gonna do to improve it next year, but I don't know that we could have asked for much more on a first year event. Yes, we wanted more people and stuff like that, but like it's not like we didn't have a lot of people here. There was a ton of people here, and for me, it has been super rewarding. Full disclosure, a lot of this is selfish. Like I wanted to do this because it's fun for me to come here to see these speakers, to kind of blend the old and the new,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a lot of the vision of this whole thing, to bring it back together. Like there was nobody in there listening to Kelly Starrett that was happier than I was. Like it was everything about it was fantastic. So yeah, I'm very, very happy, and I'm happy that everybody that I've talked to is happy. So that's if that it kind of explains that.
100%. And just to back that up, I mean, as we've been in the booth here all weekend, and everyone is really participating. Like
Yeah.
the folks are obviously everyone's taking part in the keynotes or
Mhm.
listening to the speakers and presentations, but this has been a super lively room as well.
Well, Joe, I'm glad you said that, because that was a significant consideration when we planned this out. I said it must be unique in the sense that it's a win-win-win for everybody. It needs to be a win for the partners that come in here.
Mhm.
It needs to be a win for the participants, and it needs to be a win for the overall community. And every time I come back in here, I'm checking to see, like, are people coming in to talk to the partners? How much break did we have in the weekend? Like, we spent a lot of time on the schedule making sure that there was, decent chunks
Yeah.
throughout the day where there was intentionally nothing planned.
Right.
We can't always be. It's kind of like the same thing Kelly was talking about, is like we got so wrapped around the axle around getting serious about exercise that we kind of forgot the point. We lost the plot. And it's the same thing for these events. You get so wrapped around the axle around like logistics and timeline and doing all these other things that you can miss the point, which was to get everybody here so that they can just hang out with each other.
Right.
So that was a really significant intentional planning point from when we put this together, and we'll obviously improve some things next year, but I was very pleased with it.
Yeah, and just proof of concept for you guys. I mean, that's what we've perceived from the attendees as well.
That's great.
We've overheard a ton of conversations where people are just like, man, it's just nice to have this sort of event exist again.
Yeah.
Where everyone's getting together. And, I know there was I'm relatively new to the CrossFit space.
Mm-hmm.
I became familiar with it when I started working with Modify, but my general understanding is there used to be events like this on the calendar, and then sort of just time kind of took them away a little bit, and here you are again, kind of returning it to, like you said, the merger of the old and new schools.
Yeah, and that was the vision, because I, again, selfishly, like, I missed it, and we looked at it and said, well, hey, like, there's no reason we can't do it. Doesn't mean that there can't be more of these things. I think there's plenty of room for all of it, but we decided to just do it. Jason and I and a lot of other people on the team, we're very fortunate that we've been around a long time, and we have access and a lot of relationships to a lot of people in the ecosystem, and feel very fortunate to have the speaker list that we had this weekend. And now we just got to make it better and live up to it next year.
If you could change one thing about the fitness industry overnight, what would it be? Oh my God. Easy answer. To just get rid of all of the BS. Like, focus on the things that actually work. There's just so many things that are just like people majoring in the minors, things that are so niche, and like that doesn't, like, at the end of the day, you got to do hard things. You got to lift heavy weights, do constantly varied functional fitness, perform to high intensity, and like that will like yield you results. Like, you don't need to do, I don't know. There's so many different things that like are just, it's just BS. And it's like, then you're always trying to debunk people coming into the gym. Like, oh, I heard like CrossFit's like dangerous. I heard this is dangerous. I'm like, it's no more dangerous than walking across the street. Like,
right. They've done well and scaled correctly. Yeah.
Just debunking the myths of like, and just letting people focus on things that will actually move the needle.
How do you see technology from wearables to software changing the coach-athlete relationship? Interesting. I don't see it changing.
Okay.
I think that, especially in the CrossFit space, we want that personal connection as a coach and an athlete. Athletes come to the CrossFit space because they can use their wearable at a Globo gym and they're still not really getting the results they want. And why aren't they getting the results they want? Because there's not accountability. That's a human connection, you know? And so I don't really fear it. I think it's a tool, a accessory tool. I use it that is helpful. But I think in reality, we'll all come back to human connection is the most important thing. um, Surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded with goals that you want is the wearable technology,
Mm.
right? You wear your heart on your sleeve when you walk into that
I
gym
like
and
that. Yeah.
become vulnerable, and so that's what we're going to do.
What do you think the affiliate model will look like 5 years from now? Ooh, that's good. Like just my personal vision, or do you want me to give you like a doom and gloom? How should we do this?
I want your personal take.
Yeah. So my personal take is I would like to see every affiliate slowly make its way to a health center or a health hub. I think with CrossFit methodology, we have a very unique preventative healthcare model that if you follow the actual methodology, don't veer too far into sport or competition, that you have something that's really effective in terms of solving a lot of the main problems we see in our healthcare system with chronic diseases. And so with good folks like the CrossFit Medical Society being able to provide like blood panels, a lot of like your biological age, even like health insurance alternatives. I think that if we were able to adopt a model where affiliates could use that almost like as a prescriptive fitness along with their main group classes, that you would see this differentiator away from all the other CrossFit-like offerings. And we would really be able to validate the methodology like rooted in health, which is kind of Greg's original and main mission with the CrossFit methodology. So I'd like to see them become health centers in short.
I love that. I mean, you have such a great opportunity, right? Where someone is quite literally coming to you to make a proactive decision about their health.
Exactly.
So not only can you address the fitness component, but also just the general health and longevity component too.
And yeah, and if you think about being able to have relationships with healthcare providers and then be able to offer like internal looks with the blood work and different things like that, you could reach a whole other demographic of people, kind of almost like this underserved population that really need this lifestyle intervention to not only better their quality of life, but like literally better their health and their health outcomes where they're not being served in the current system that we offer here in the United States, that affiliates are sit in unique possession of being able to do.
How do you balance data, just that you've accumulated through the years of doing it, what technology's telling you, et cetera, et cetera. How do you balance that with your own intuition just from years having been on the floor?
That's a good question. So I think what separates coaches, number one, is having the intuition and the data in the same like vantage point.
Right.
The data is very, very important. A great example would be this. If I have an athlete that ran a 5K in 25 minutes, a year ago, that's a big priority, especially nowadays with running, even being shown in the open in a like a shuttle,
Yeah.
type of test. I have to know that this is a priority. This is the time we're going to run a 3-month cycle. We're going to retest. And I have to see where that data is, right? Did it go from 25 to 23 or did it go from 25 to 24:30? It's a very different thing. And then also along with the data is going to be the athlete's subjective feedback as well throughout it, right? What did I feel? At what point did I feel like, there was a limiter? Was it a leg limiter? Was it a heart rate limiter? Those are all data points that we utilize throughout so that it helps me create a better progression moving forward. Because we don't always get it right when we're creating these programs.
Sure.
And nor do the athletes. And so every single cycle, we have to look at the data to make sure that we are trending in the right direction so that athlete's getting fitter each time. And so if you take the 5K as an example and apply that to everything, strength movements, gymnastics movements, mixed modal movements, testing open workouts, testing semifinal workouts, testing rogue workouts. It's very, very important. I even think now with, we have rogue coming up around the corner next weekend.
Yep.
There are different tests that we're running. I think the athlete, it could be a limiter for them or like a weakness workout for them. And so we'll run it, see where they're at and say, okay, they've improved this. So we don't really have to focus on that. Maybe these other areas we can focus on. So it's critical to know the data.
you just using your example, the 5K, just kind of a adjacent question to that. Have you noticed, does there seem to be like a fervor of interest right now in the endurance side of things? Like if there's one end of the spectrum that's a little bit more strength training, hypertrophy, another end of the spectrum that's a little more endurance focused, like it seems like the wind is blowing in that direction. Am I crazy to think that?
Not at all. I think it's because running seems to be becoming cool again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's companies blowing up everywhere. I mean, we grew up on like the shoe companies,
Yeah.
but now there's the attire and the apparel companies, and then there's even the running culture that's developing as well. And so I think globally it looks cool to do it, but also I think globally, you know, in the realm of running,
Mm-hmm.
is health and fitness is becoming cool
Yeah.
as you age,
Right.
right? So I think, you know, we see 5K everywhere. I don't know about you, but I see marathons all over the place. You know, everyone's training for a marathon. And it's actually wild to me that people are like, I want a sub 3 hour, as if it's like this easy feat, you know, like
Yep.
it's wild because even when, you know, when I was growing up, I would hear marathon and be like, that is nuts. You're going to
Right.
run for 26 miles. That's
Right.
crazy. And now people are like 3 hour, next time is going to be 250. And then like 3 years later, like I'm at a 240,
Yeah.
which is insane to hear. But yeah, I think, you know, in general, including the 5K, we're seeing that a lot more nowadays.
You guys have been in the muck of some situations here
Sure.
with affiliate owners.
Sure.
And I want to let's do a PG-13
Oh man. Okay.
situation
Okay.
that you've dealt with that just you'll never forget from your operations with gym owners.
Okay. If you're a gym owner, don't sleep with your clients. That's
Very good. Very good. If there's one takeaway from Affiliate Con this weekend, it is that, folks. That is sound legal
Don't
advice.
form partnerships and don't sleep with your clients. You'll probably avoid a lot of issues.
You know, a lot of life is avoiding the obvious flaws, you know? Just like stay away from the extreme edges of things and you'll probably do all right with business and in life.
Right.
And that's one of those extreme edges.
But in all seriousness, those are like the big ones that cause gym owners like the biggest problems.
Yeah.
We probably field at least 2 partnership issue calls a week.
Right.
Just and you know, I've recently been quoted, and I don't know that I necessarily wanted to be quoted as the guy that was like, don't form a partnership.
Right.
But I put it on my social media, and now I've become like the guy who's like anti-partnership.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's fair. I am kind of anti-partnership, but I guess I'm really just more like anti-partnership if you don't know what you're doing going into the partnership. Like that's really, because it's like you're getting married to somebody, and you know, what is it? 9 out of 10 marriages fail.
Right.
Well, like 9 out of 10 partnerships fail. And you just got to understand that going in and plan for it. But otherwise, sleeping with your members is always going to be a divisive thing to do.
Yes.
It is going to.
And you should not do it.
It is going to split your community. If you are in a partnership and you sleep with one of your members, it's probably going to kill your partnership, probably going to kill your marriage, and half your membership is going to leave. And we see it happen.
You know, it's funny. I think Apple in their heyday had this concept, like from like a corporate structure perspective, of the directly responsible person. And I feel like every time you have a partnership, it is now unclear as to who that directly responsible person is.
Yep.
So I feel you there. Like making that complicated is just going to continue to pay negative dividends as time goes on. As you've been here at AffiliateCon this weekend, what are the questions gym owners are coming to you with? Is there a theme there?
I think a lot of what we've been fielding this weekend is expanding into new locations or second locations.
Nice.
Yeah, which kind of surprises me. Usually we just get a lot of questions at these things about like, I haven't had my waiver looked at in like 5 years. Can you help with that?
Right.
Yeah, we can. Or I need to, like, I set up my gym 5 years ago and I've never looked at anything legal. What can we do? You know, and it's just sort of like a big legal audit of everything they've been doing. But for some reason at this particular one this year, I mean, just this particular one, because this is the first time we've ever attended this one.
Right.
It's been a lot of like, we own the building and we own the gym. What do we need to do? We're expanding out into a second location. What do we need to do? We need to break our lease so that we can move into a larger location. What do we do? So I like those. I like those sort of more complex legal questions, and not just always like, can you redraft our waiver? I can. It's important.
Right.
But the bigger questions are usually more enjoyable to kind of get in and get my hands dirty and figure out.
You get to use new compartments of your legal tool belt.
That's right.
Like, I get to go back here now.
Yeah.
We were just talking about jujitsu.
Yeah, I love jujitsu.
You got your brown belt now.
Yep.
What's it been like finding the training resources to now spend on jujitsu while also, your other fitness modalities?
I mean, so I train every morning at 6 a.m. with a group. And then midday, I'll hit jujitsu 3 days a week. On Sundays, I just do jujitsu. So for me, adding in jujitsu hasn't been that big of a deal because I train so early anyways, every day. It's just a part of my lifestyle. But I think that if someone wants to get interested in jiu-jitsu, I think starting with privates is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
You get so much bang for your buck doing privates. You learn so much. And then after a while, you could still just get it in. But yeah, for me, I train 3 days a week jiu-jitsu, and I absolutely love it. It's the best.
Do you do anything in terms of like resource control or recovery control with your jiu-jitsu? Like, do you limit your sparring on certain days? Do you keep the rounds to a certain, extent?
Yeah, the intensity factor is important. So if I'm having like really tough workouts, I'll like adjust like the RP, rate of perceived exertion. In general, with rolls, I'll try and it's hard, man, because oftentimes I'll go in with this session like wanting to be chill, and then maybe this one guy will show up and be like, all right, that went out the window. But other days, maybe I'll go there and just the type of training I'm going to get is like an RP 7. So I try and adjust it during the week. Some days I go a little bit harder, some days a little bit easier. But in general, at jiu-jitsu, obviously you work some technique, and I try and get in 2 to 3 hard sparring rounds every time. When I do marathon rolls, like when I do like an hour worth of just rolls, I don't do that every single time I roll jiu-jitsu. I try and only do that like once a week at most.
How about on the strength and conditioning side? Has there been any like inclusion of new exercises or avoidance of exercises? Or kind of
I avoid like snatches. I avoid muscle ups. I avoid handstand push-ups. I stick to more fundamental strength conditioning in general, and try and get in some more mobility work with foam rolling and stuff like that. It's been really important for me.
I was just telling you, I consider myself the black belt of white belts.
Dude, that's it. You've been in the game a long time. You got to get that.
Time.
How long have you been a white belt for?
10 years.
Oh, that's what you said. When are you going to get your blue belt?
I don't know. I kind of don't want to now, I want to just be like the forever white belt.
Dude, you're going to be like the best white belt in the room. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long I'm going to be at brown belt for. We'll see. But jiu-jitsu is amazing. For people who haven't tried it, they should definitely give it an experience.
Is there a particular talk or presentation or just moment that that's gonna be etched most in your memory?
I don't know. To be fair, like I've been running around. I wouldn't say I've been running around. Like I'm not gonna pretend like I've been doing a lot of work, but I love people. People have this false belief about me that I'm antisocial, and I would say,
you seem quite social.
Thank you. I'm social in the social situations I like.
I got you.
And the gym is my place. So I met my wife, and before we were married, she took a class that I coached at North Naples CrossFit, who Dario and Matt were the owners of. They're here.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Oh, that's you."
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not a bar guy. I don't watch sports. Like they were all watching the football game. I'm like, you guys care about this? And I love being around the gym, but that could be inside the walls of a gym or here. I guess I appreciate people who are willing to work hard, and there's no harder workers than CrossFitters.
What's the biggest opportunity for affiliates to serve the next generation of athletes?
So I would actually change that question slightly, right?
Feel free.
Because I think in CrossFit we talk about just the client as an athlete, right? But I think the biggest conversation is actually in the youth space, and it's giving somebody who's not an athlete, who hasn't had anything physical in their entire life yet, a physical outlet and a base to do athletic stuff, right? Because I think when I was growing up, there was a lot of play outdoors. And I've got 3 kids, and I'll tell you, there's not a lot of play outdoors anymore, right? There's not a lot of kids exploring the physical space. They're exploring the digital space now. And I think for affiliates, if we can get affiliates to understand how to touch that market, right? There's a large group of kids who don't know how to move,
Right.
and don't have anything physical. They don't have a sport, right? I think a lot of affiliates and just gyms in general right now focus on youth athletes,
Mm-hmm.
which is 15% of the actual youth space,
Right.
right? And if we can teach them how to tap into the 85%, that's a massive market that's completely untapped.
Mm-hmm.
If there was an article recently in the Morning Chalk Up actually that talked about Planet Fitness and the membership between 13 to 18 and how many members actually signed up for summer memberships
Yeah.
in teenagers. And it was a massive amount,
Mm-hmm.
but most of them actually didn't actually use the membership. So they signed up over the summer, they never actually used it. So what that says is that kids want to move, they want to be taught how to move, but they don't know how, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a market there that affiliates are not tapping into yet.
So I do a lot of intro calls at Wodify. In my perception, correct me if I'm wrong, but my perception, like that's actually something we cover because we have some features as it relates to like family memberships and how to set up people who are under the age of 16 who need someone to sign on their behalf. Like we have to deal with that sort of thing. And as a result, we asked the question during the intake process, like, do you offer family memberships or kids classes? And I feel like it's pretty rare that I get a yes.
Yeah.
So it seems like that's kind of synergistic with what you're saying. Like, it just doesn't seem like it's super common yet. I think there was a CrossFit Kids program at one point, right?
Yeah. So my parents are the developers of CrossFit Kids, actually.
Awesome.
And then in 2014, we realized that there was a, for lack of better terms, CrossFit is a high-level program for athletic movement, right? And it's almost like calculus, right? And we had taken calculus and scaled it the best we could to kids, right? And that's what CrossFit Kids is, right? It's a scaled version of calculus, but you're still starting with calculus, right? The 9 foundational movements are not inherently something somebody would know how to do, right? Especially if they have no athletic background.
Need to be coached.
With the Brand X method, what we actually start with is the building blocks of movement, right? And that's how do you hinge? How do you jump? How do you run effectively, right? So it's the basics of athletic movement before we ever get to these 9 foundational movements, which, have amazing capacity to change people's, physical health, as we all know. But if somebody doesn't even know how to hinge correctly, how to keep their core stable, right? Like, why are we teaching a squat? Why are we teaching a deadlift, right? Like some kids nowadays, like we run into kids coming in, they've never done anything physical before. They can't even jump with 2 feet at the same time.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, why am I teaching this person how to squat? Right? Like we gotta teach them how to jump, how to run, how to, you know what I mean? Like those are basic human movement patterns.
I can't remember who said it, but I remember a coach saying that you can't fire a cannon out of a canoe.
Yeah.
And I feel
that's
like
a great,
What do you think it would take for adaptive coaching to become as commonplace in affiliates as, say, something like scaling or on-ramping?
Yeah.
What would it take to get there?
Well, that's the mission for Adaptive Training Academy.
Perfect.
100%. So we our mission is to make it so that people with disabilities can go train anywhere, right? So any gym, you're talking about specifically the CrossFit community, that anybody with a disability can come train in any class. It doesn't have to be a special coach, special class. They could go do any class if they want to do classes or go into any gym. There's so many barriers to entry for people with disabilities. That's a great question. What would it take for it to be commonplace? One is education. So that's what we do, is we provide education so that trainers and staff are more aware of people with disabilities. They understand language, they understand the culture around disability, but then they actually have the principles and methods to be able to train people with disabilities safely and effectively. So that education is very important. The CrossFit gym is great for people with disabilities. It's probably the best place for them to train because you're going to be training functional movements, has the best transference to real world fitness, work capacity. Activities of daily living is a more clinical saying for it, but they're going to train functional movements. They get typically a good education in a CrossFit gym. Most CrossFit gyms apply some type of foundations program. They teach people how to move properly, which you don't typically get in other gym settings. And then the inclusiveness of the culture. I mean, not just the culture, the community,
right? Community is so important for everybody, but especially for somebody who has a disability that may feel like they're a minority, they may not feel like they're always welcome, or they may not be represented in the gym. Having a good supportive community is so important. So we need to help gyms in all those capacities. Their trainers need to be educated and ready to train safely and effectively, have good principles and methods to train people with disabilities. But we really need to just see more representation in gyms. So one takeaway that gyms could do better of is that once you do have somebody with a disability in your gym, show off their success in a genuine way. You know, include them in your social media, on your website. If you have somebody on staff, show that off, right? Don't make it into like this disability porn type of thing where you're celebrating everyday activities as some huge major success. But if you do it in a genuine way, representation really does matter, and in any minority community, right? So, you know, if you were a Harley Davidson biker and you're driving down the highway, like you want to go to a biker bar, like you're going to go to somewhere else where you see other people like you, they get you, they want to talk about motorcycles and leather and patches and whatever else. People with disabilities want to be able to see that they're represented in the spaces that they want to participate in. And so it's so important for them to be in there. And I preach this to gyms all the time, but one of the reasons why gyms may not already have people with disabilities in their gym is because they don't have somebody with a disability in their gym.
Right.
And it sounds like a really dumb thing to say, but when you think about it, if you don't have somebody with a disability in your gym, other people with disabilities aren't going to see themselves represented in that space. They're not going to know, is this a place that I can go?
Right.
Do they know how to train me? Right? Can I go train there? I just see a bunch of sweaty people, their shirts off, right? Running, jumping, handstand push-ups, flying around these, pull-up bars. They're not going to know that, oh, I'm in a wheelchair. Like I can't do anything they're doing. So representation really matters. Education, representation, and then continuing this thought that CrossFit gyms are inclusive. We already think we're inclusive. Let's continue to use that superpower we have built into the CrossFit community, but let's take some actionable steps to get out there. Gym owners can reach out to local organizations, whether it be a wheelchair basketball team, some kind of recreational therapy program like a canoeing program in their area, or the VA hospitals that are probably going to have people with disabilities. Take actionable steps to try to create some programs or work with other organizations to start getting people in your gym, and then it just starts to snowball, right? So it's like they get represented, more people will come, and then really those gyms can be an outlier compared to the other affiliates in their area. If you can own the space of being like, hey, we're here to represent and train people with disabilities, you could be that space where everybody comes to you for those resources. So it's not just a good thing to do, not just the right thing to do. It's also a great business decision to include the 25% of Americans that have a disability that have higher barriers to entry and find a way to reduce those barriers for them to join.
I love that. It sounds to me like you're kind of envisioning a future where like it's not some specialty or niche thing, but rather it's just a part of the standard tool belt that every coach, every owner just already has and is accustomed to using.
I think for a wide swath of the disability population, that's what we envision. They can go to any class. It's not like if you're the coach and you only coach 5:30 a.m. and you're the disability trainer, you're the one that works with adaptive athletes. We don't want to make it so those people have to go to the 5:30 a.m. class.
Right.
There are a lot of people with disabilities that need more specialized training. Like they have sensory sensitivities, people with autism, they may need a special time to work out because of other social interactions or sensitivities to noise and light or whatever it may be. So you can use some of the dead time in your space. So like mid-morning, afternoons when you don't have classes, those times could be built around special programs. So we'd love to see anybody join any class, anytime, train whenever they want. But there's opportunity to build special programs in some of the downtimes in gyms as well.
And then you have those data points for other athletes with disabilities to see on social media, wherever you're sharing content.
100%.
I see some evidence that this is a gym that is working with people who have disabilities and are capable of also now working with me. So,
and it makes the coaches better coaches, right?
Sure.
Like working with healthy people who don't have disabilities, who train regularly, who do all their mobility, who are the nutrition. Those people are easy to train. right? It's the people that have an injury or an impairment, and you have to be creative in how to. You're doing back squats, and you have somebody in a wheelchair in your class. Like, what are you going to do for them, right? It makes you a better coach when you have to think more deeply about the stimulus of what you're trying to apply to everybody in your class, so that you can apply to make sure everybody in that class gets the same dose of stimulus that you're intending for their abilities, psychological and physiological, right, tolerances.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love the message.
Yeah.
What was your first foray into nutrition?
Oh my gosh. I think I tried all different sorts of things. I cheered at University of Florida and I had Go Gators.
Yeah.
Had some disordered eating, and our coach realized a lot of us had eating issues and sent us all to a dietitian. But I think for me, it was like more, I was just scared to eat anything because I wanted to look a certain way
Right.
in the uniform. And I went to a dietitian and realized, oh, wow, I really need to feel my body to be able to have the energy so that I can also achieve the goals that I want to achieve. And I think in a gym setting, the same thing happens, maybe not to that extent, but our members are saying regularly, I'm not hitting a PR. I'm not seeing the results. This workout was really hard. I'm tired.
Mhm.
Like, how are we as coaches able to make it full circle and be like, well, what'd you eat today? How'd you sleep last night?
Right.
And address those other 23 hours.
So Vaughn, what is the riskiest behavior affiliate owners don't realize is a liability nightmare?
Wow. I would say you don't know what you don't know. I see a lot of things come across my desk from just that. Everybody tries to keep, I shouldn't say everybody, most people try to keep a super safe environment for their members, stuff like that. I would say right now, from the stuff that's been coming across my desk, background checks. If you are training minors in any way, shape, or form at your facility, that needs to happen like yesterday. You can get them wherever. We have a resource on our website underneath our tools section on our website. It's $15 per trainer per year. If they do come in hot, we just send that data to the gym owner, and they can address that accordingly.
Gotcha.
And I would say the second one would be defibrillators. If you don't have a defibrillator, you need a defibrillator. This year so far, we've had 4 fatalities from sudden cardiac arrest.
Wow.
And when you have these defibrillators in place, A, it's the right thing to do, and B, God forbid if the deceased family wants to come after you and try to press charges for wrongful death. It's super hard to do because you did everything you could in your power to revive that said individual, and I'll just leave it at that. So if you don't have a defib, get one.
That is first of all, now I'm a little nervous to say that word. I'm not gonna lie. Defibrillators.
Yeah.
Defibrillators.
Yeah.
Okay. We gotta practice it now.
Yeah, that's good.
But that's shocking. I would have thought that was standard practice, but I guess you're seeing that it's kind of an omission.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know, and I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. I've had gym owners tell me I'd rather spend that money on a rower than get a defib, and I'm like, might want to go find another insurance provider because, yeah,
that's your own
I
qualification
got enough
process.
gray hairs, right? So,